Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the process of a graphic that I've recently worked on in the spirit of countdown to 2025. I was tasked with this graphic by my part-time job, if you don't already know, which you don't know because I've never mentioned it on this channel. But yeah, I do have a part-time job working on news graphics, and my assignment was to create a graphic for the countdown of 2025. Thought it'd be a cool thing to change things up a bit instead of doing another tutorial, and just take you through my personal work process of creating a graphic. All right, so let's get into it. I already worked on this graphic, and this is what the ending graphic would look like, or graphic looks like. It's already been posted. But yeah, I want to recreate this from scratch, pretty much taking reference from this graphic to today's graphic. So let's open up a new project. I'm going to set the frame size to 1280 by 960. Resolution looks good, and just create. So the thing about this graphic is it is pretty much text-based around this 2025 font, and I was tasked with creating text with light bulbs in the text, as you can see. But yeah, before I do graphics, any graphic, I look for reference. Usually, mainly doing Google search and just trying to find inspiration for the graphic that I'm trying to conceptualize. Pretty much what I like to do is take from multiple concepts and just create my own version of that. That makes sense. Taking from different elements of other graphics and creating my own one graphic. All right, let's just get started on this. I started off by creating the text. Press T on your keyboard to get the text, or you can go to the toolbar and go down to the text icon right here. Let's type in 2025. That's obviously not, this isn't the text that I want to use. This is a cool text, but yeah, I think I use this for the countdown. So let's use this for countdown. Countdown to. Control J to duplicate this, and I'm gonna type in 2025. Let's find a different font for this. Let's see, what font did I use for this one? Gotham Black Regular. Gotham Black Regular. Okay, I'm gonna center the text. I usually just Control T this white box. I'm gonna Control T the box and use the guidelines to center this text. There you go. If anyone knows of a different or better way to center text, if anyone knows how to do that, please let me know in the comments below. I know in Premiere, there's an align option that you can use to center text, but I'm not seeing it here in Photoshop. So I usually do this. I make the guidelines and center using the guidelines. Okay, so now we're gonna create a stroke within the text, just like this. So that way we can put the light bulbs inside this text. I think there's a gradient in here. I'm gonna just do this. Okay, so there's a gradient. Let me just copy layer style, paste layer style. There you go. Let me explain the way I set this up. So I put a gradient on this stroke, creating the look of a gold texture, and the inner glow I created because to give the sense of these light bulbs glowing, as you can see here. Once the light bulbs are in there, it'll make more sense. But anyways, let's continue on. So I'm gonna make the circle, and the fill we're gonna make just white. I had to place the light bulbs manually. Control J to duplicate. And change the stroke color. I'm just trying to make this as close to what I originally had in my original graphic. All right, there you go. It's looking pretty good. Since I have a 2 here, I'm gonna just duplicate these light bulb layers. All right, so let's get on with this. And I try to keep my layers organized. I'm gonna label this light bulbs 2. Putting these in one layer and labeling it so I can find it easily in the layers. Create the light bulbs for the 0 and the 5. Just gonna duplicate, Control J, and start getting this done. I'm going to select all these light bulbs, and just duplicate and transform path and flip horizontal. Align it, there you go. And now I'm going to just delete these extra layers because I don't need those. So now we only have one. Okay, that looks good. Let's go to the light bulb 0. There you go. That's one layer in its own folder, same as these light bulbs. Let me separate these. That way I have this more organized as well. 02, let's just name it that. Okay, now we got the two light bulbs for the 2s. 2 light bulbs for the 2s in one layer. And we can easily separate them. Okay, last up, we got the 5. Let's duplicate this, bring it up to the top so we can make it its own layer. Control J and start moving this. All right, this looks good. The light bulbs look pretty evenly spaced, but let's start creating the background now. So in this background, we have elements of confetti. We got some like bokeh lights. And the fun thing about creating this graphic was the reflections at the bottom of the text. So let's start with that. I'm gonna put these light bulbs for 5 in its own layer. And let's put these together in their own folder, all the elements for the 2025 text. And now I'm going to duplicate this, Control J, and Control E to merge. That's just my preference so that it's easier to move around. I'm not worrying about like accidentally clicking on certain elements and having them not move together with the rest of that layer. Let's see. But essentially, I'm just going to be doing a flip vertical of the text so that I think just the more that you familiarize yourself with Photoshop, you'll get your own workflow. And this is my workflow. I like to, in cases like this with reflections, and so I'm going to bring this underneath to see that this reflection is over this main element. So let's bring this down, Control and left bracket to bring it down, and Control right bracket to bring it back up. All right, let's make this a black background, and I'll show you how this reflection is going to look with all the adjustments that I'm going to make. Let's mask this so that we're going to mask this reflection so that the further away from the main 2025 element, it's gonna essentially disappear. Okay, let's go to feather, 125, and mask. I think we can move this up a little bit more. There you go. Let's get this gold color. Make a new layer. G for the paint bucket tool. So this is going to be used for the floor. I'm going to feather this. And mask this. There you go. I'm going to paint this. What else do we need? We need a metal texture. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this reflection layer just for the sake of trying out an effect. I'm going to do a blur filter and motion blur. Angle at 0 and distance is 25. Pretty much the distance you're going to be adjusting the amount of blur in this effect. Let's keep it at 25. And I think that looks good too, as opposed to this. I mean, if we weren't going to put the metal texture in there, then I would think that this would work. But we have the metal texture in there, and I feel like this blur gives it the effect that the reflections are on that metal texture. Let me go to Motion Array. So I have this subscription with Motion Array, and I usually take elements from here. I'm going to type in confetti and look for the best type of confetti that I can use for this graphic. That looks good. We'll see what that looks like. And I think this would be a cool image to use just to give the graphic a sense of atmosphere. Alright, okay. Anyways, let's stop it right there because my son is awake now, so I need to see what he needs.